Hey everyone, it's Victoria with Nutrition by Victoria. Just showing the sugar results. And I have a quick minute here to hop on and say hello to everyone. And my shirt's not actually a crop top. I was thinking about making a reaction video, but I really couldn't think of what I wanted to do. And right now my kids are on spring break. I just got out of the shower not long ago because I got to go for a bike ride. I had a babysitter come over so that I could go out riding because it's so nice out right now. Actually, I kind of want to open the window. But I know you guys like the lives and they get a lot of views, so I figured I got a few moments, might as well just hop on here and just chit chat with you and let me know too what you want to talk about right now. Hi, Jakey. He says, new sub here. Thank you for the inspiration. You're welcome. I think that there's been a big shift into accepting the high carb, low fat diet again. Keto is like really being pounded into people, carnivore too. And I think people are getting sick of that way of eating and or experiencing poor health, so they want to make the switch. But yeah, I hired a babysitter and I got to go out for a nice long bike ride, and I was kind of like reminiscing about my past and like my identity as a person and how it's taken me until really now to feel really grounded in who I am and my message. And I think that my content is a reflection of my growth and just having a solid foundation in my like diet and lifestyle that's allowed me to kind of start growing more in terms of providing such like valuable content and just being a good mom and all that good stuff. And it's all sugar filled. It's all very, 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 very simple. Okay, so today's lesson, it looks like everybody's coming on with the questions. Today's lesson is photosynthesis, okay? So this is actually how I start my coaching program too, is teaching you guys the very basics of how just the earth works and how our body works, okay? So photosynthesis is the reaction that occurs in plants that allows them to create glucose and oxygen. Okay, so glucose and oxygen are byproducts of photosynthesis. And photosynthesis happens when sunlight meets the leaves of a plant, okay? And that plant turns the sunlight and carbon dioxide also into glucose and oxygen, of which are the primary ingredients for cellular respiration in the human body, in our mitochondria. So we need to consume glucose and take up oxygen in order to create energy. So it's very basic. So if any kind of keto person or a carnivore person wants to debate you on the topic, one, throw photosynthesis at them. Two, get a copy of my coaching program because I give you everything that you need to understand about the human metabolism and then how to apply it with your diet and lifestyle in order to debunk any other kind of diet theory out there, including keto carnivore. Something else that's important to understand about the keto diet is that ketogenesis means the creation of ketones, okay? We will enter into a state of ketosis in the absence of sufficient glucose. After about 48 hours of running predominantly gluconeogenesis to supply sufficient glucose to the body, which means that we've been out without sufficient glucose available for energy generation for about 2 days, right? Maybe even longer. So this is kind of a variable topic, but or variable metabolic state. So it depends on the person, right? And your ability to store glycogen, how many carbs you're eating prior, etc. But anyways, whenever there is a prolonged deficit of glucose in the system, we will start turning acetyl-CoA into ketones, okay? So fatty acids into ketones. And this is a backup to our like regular metabolism and its, energy generation ability to create ATP from glucose. So glucose is the fuel. Your body runs on glucose. You have to take in glucose in the form of carbohydrates in order to generate energy, okay? So a car, you have to put gasoline in it, right? It's the same concept. We have to put carbohydrate. And if we just start putting fat in the system still is not going to register that as food, okay? It's not going to register that as glucose. It will be able to continue to generate energy, but at a much lower rate in comparison to glucose being available. And it's very inefficient and it's very hard on the system. So the body's like being metabolically damaged while it's being forced to turn fat into fuel, right? We only need to do this in order to survive a famine situation. It was never meant to be something that we just stayed in long term, which is why there is limited studies on keto diets. Most of the long-term studies have been done in rats or mice because it is not, when it comes to do like the Minnesota starvation study, they could never repeat that now because of the kind of guidelines that they have on, what am I trying to say? Like whether or not, like you can't like legally starve people anymore. So they do a lot of animal experiments to see, reactions from different kind of diets and stuff. Now, if you can like feed people something where they're going to, uh, like be fed, then that's a different story. And there have been keto diets used to determine, cause and effect. But the reviews have been very mixed. And a lot of people, it causes oxidative stress, anemia, things like that. And it looks like there is a lot of trolls here. But I hope you guys are kind of understanding the gist of it, that all you really need to understand is that we require glucose and oxygen to run our body. Without either of the two, without oxygen, you're going to die a lot faster. Without glucose, your body is still going to be in a impaired state. Okay? And my husband brought up a really good point too, that the Inuits, or the people who have only had access to animal foods to consume, right? They never live very long. Mammals that consume meat as the basis of their diet, they do not live very long. And humans, these all these carnivore people, I looked into Bart K, for instance. I'll get to questions in a minute here. I looked into Bart K and I was trying to find like what I eat in a day videos. So I ended up going to his Instagram and I found that one, his wife is obese, okay? Two, he consumes goat milk, which is high in carbohydrate. All right, so he's not actually like in ketosis. And then I saw him drinking wine too. So a lot of these people, they say one thing, they do another. And then there's Anthony Chafee, who has been rumored to take Botox and anabolic steroids and, be doing all kinds of things. And you wonder, like, why would a doctor who has the potential to make, $500,000 a year working as a physician, be the figurehead for the carnivore diet movement, like who's sponsoring that? And then I've been accused of being a shill and an NPC and all this stuff because I'm apparently making people uncomfortable spreading this sugar message. Um, but, I don't make a whole lot of money doing what I do at all. And most of what I do make comes from actually working with people as opposed to just like YouTube income.
Mom,
What?
can we play water balloons?
Not right now. Go play for a little longer and then we're gonna get going. Okay. 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 Random stuff with Vicky. Hello, that's my nickname, Vicky. Finally caught a live from the beginning. Hello from England. Hello, hello. Could you recommend sorry, Pampa healed me. Could you comment on High Carb Regenerator's new higher fat diet? Why did your former client go off high carb, low fat and not lose weight? Okay. One, High Carb Regenerator was never my client. Okay. I tried to encourage him to actually sign up for my coaching services. I will not work with people for free, okay? I will give like little bits of my opinion based on the situation that they're presenting with, but I will not full on work with you unless you actually register to work with me as a client, okay? So, Ryan and I used to talk pretty regularly on Instagram direct messenger, and he would tell me, what's going on with him, and none of it really added up. And I kind of got the vibe that he was never actually doing the high carb, low fat protocol for long enough to get results. He would always say, I have this problem, I have this problem, I can't exercise, I can't do this, I can't do that. And then he was the delivery driver. I think he's probably still doing that now. And he would say, I go to my parents' house and they cook with oil, and then I go here, and whenever I eat oil, I lose weight. And he was just all over the place. And I was like, dude, this is, I don't know what exactly is going on with you. And then he'd send me a screenshot of his diet, and it like looked okay. But I just in general got the vibe from him that he was never consistent enough to get the results, okay? And then he would say like, I don't eat for like most of the day, and then I don't feel good on sugar, and I don't feel good on fruit, and then like I have this problem and this problem and this problem, and like more issues than tissues, okay? And I don't really understand why people like watch his content. I can't personally. I find it extremely cringy. Like he goes off on these tangents, and granted, I do too, but usually there's like a message there. And he's been on here long enough, like not getting results that.
Mom, Lily's throwing dolls into my family.
Okay, can you just go play? I'm trying to do something for work, all right? Sorry. Um, Moral of the story, if you guys want me to, I can do a video review of him, but I would say that his biggest limiting factor is the excuses that he has for not to do something, and also his addiction to fatty foods. And going back and forth can make you insulin resistant, and you really, if you want this to work for you, you have to fully commit, okay? And the results are in the post. You also need to be like moving your body and being active, like walking, riding a bike, just going easy pace. It makes you feel good and improves insulin sensitivity. But I don't think that he is actually losing weight from eating fat right now. I think he's probably like calorie restricting, and yo-yo dieting, and who knows. But like, I think he needs to change his YouTube name, in my personal opinion. Like High Carb Regenerator to me makes me think like somebody who has gotten the results, and now they're trying to help other people get them too. um, yeah, that's my opinion. I actually stopped talking to Ryan because it was really, I think he wanted me to like overextend myself to help him, but I just didn't, he just wasn't willing to commit, like I said, to actually working with me. And yeah, I don't work for free. Okay. I often dreamt. Okay. Dream thread is what it says. I often mix a lot of bananas with oatmeal and sugar. Does this slow down results on the protocols by mixing starch and fruit? Yes. Ditch the oatmeal. Have that at another time. Like after the smoothie. Like eat simple sugars all day, like fruit and sugar, and then move into your starches at night. Okay, random stuff with Vicky. I'd love to hear you talk about initial stages of overcoming insulin resistance. I think I once heard you say maybe avoid added sugar at first and focus on the whole fruits. Yeah, I've done a lot of experimenting, and what I will say is that sugar actually improves insulin resistance, and it helps you to get in more carbs so that you can do more. So my opinion now is that eat fruit, sugar, and starch, okay? I think prior I was not, full on board with the sugar message, like I am now, and my results are better now than they were then. uh, Jessica Queeley. Hey girl. Hi Victoria. If insulin sensitivity is good, should weight loss be happening, or does weight loss take a while after you're insulin sensitive? Yeah, so first you have to create the insulin sensitivity foundation, and how I like to say it is that you're either moving towards insulin sensitivity or you're moving towards insulin resistance. And so you have like a degree of one or the other based on your blood sugar level readings. And now to get max insulin sensitivity, you want to keep your diet very low in fat, eat sufficient carbohydrates every day, stay hydrated, get enough sleep, and also do some exercise. And then your body will continue to become more and more insulin sensitive, and that's when the weight starts to effortlessly fall off. Lakshmi Sharma, you have a lovely smile and look cute too. Thank you. I found this top. I haven't worn it in a while, but I thought it would look cute too. A lot of trolls today. But yeah, I just don't understand why. What?
Was Wolfie born when Vi was 6?
No, she was 5.
How old was I?
7. Yeah.
I was 7.
Okay, so low carb or keto is what somebody says. And the thing is everybody's doing low carb, keto, or there's another comment here, Mongiorno or Ozempic. And what I'll say about all of that, okay, is when you don't take in enough carbohydrate, you become insulin resistant. And so many are like, oh, just take the carbs out of the diet. That fixes the insulin resistance. No, all it does is suppress the symptoms. Okay, can I finish up, please?
Yeah.
Thank you. All it does is suppress the symptoms. You take the sugar out, insulin doesn't have to do its job, okay? You suppress the symptoms. But if you put the sugar back in and you're still having the same elevated blood sugar, insulin resistance because insulin can't get the sugar out of the blood, you haven't fixed the problem, okay? Because the problem the whole time has been impaired sugar tolerance. And the only way to fix that is by eating sufficient carbs and taking the fats out of the diet. Okay? Simple. And you have to be consistent. You have to be patient and consistent and not yo-yoing all over the place like high carb regenerator, okay? Okay, John Redcorn. My girlfriend is trying to lose weight, but she still loves fattier foods like pastries and peanut butter. She also talks a lot about limiting calories, even though I tell her not to restrict. Okay, well, it sounds like if she loves pastries and peanut butter, she loves carbs. Okay, so when you have cravings for fatty foods that are also kind of like sweet, and I would say peanut butter is like a legume, so it's going to have carbs and fats, pastries, carbs and fats. You just need to get her to eat more carbs and not think that carbs are bad, and that will completely get rid of her cravings for fatty foods and will help her to lose fat. The fat you eat is the fat you wear, the fat you don't eat is the fat you can burn, okay? Fat burns in the flame of carbs. You don't need to calorie restrict. Calorie restriction lowers the metabolic rate, okay? And even though your body is going to still create energy and it is going to tap into fats, it is going to catabolize your muscle tissue, which is what a lot of people experience when they take Ozempic or any kind of semaglutide name like Mounjaro, Wegovy, whatever. It catabolizes your muscle tissue in the absence of sufficient glucose, and it turns on ketosis. Okay, so you're going to be burning or turning fatty acids into ketones as well. This suppresses the metabolic rate though, because your body is having to work without sufficient glucose. So everything is slowed down and everything is kind of like gears are grinding, right? This is not the way the body was designed to create energy. And then when you bring carbs back in, you're insulin resistant. So you didn't fix the problem, you just suppressed the symptoms. And so calorie restriction, it's all the same thing. Calorie restriction, carb restriction, keto, taking Ozempic. Anytime you starve the body of glucose, you impair your body's glucose tolerance, okay? AKA create insulin resistant. It's just a byproduct of the starvation mechanism, all right? Our body doesn't want to be starved. So in order to prevent future famine, when carbohydrates come back in, you're going to store them as fat until you start to increase your insulin sensitivity again. And so it's really important if you're coming to this from calorie restriction, keto, low carb, taking Ozempic, that you eat sufficient carbs, but you also keep your diet very low in fat so that you can put a cap on that gain pretty quickly and start moving towards insulin sensitivity. For myself, though, it took a while, probably because I didn't know what I was doing exactly. I went high carb, low fat, all in, gained like 60 pounds, 70 pounds, somewhere in there from being like basically anorexic. And, now it's all come off. And I eat more sugar than anybody I know. I eat more carbs than anybody I know. And I have a lean, fit body just effortlessly. I don't even like intentionally try to train as much as I was either. I enjoy riding my bike so much, especially my road bike because it's so easy and light and fast. Um, I just enjoy being able to move my body, and I'm not like the fastest runner either. My results are from the diet. Okay. Somebody says show feet. Let's see, my feet are kind of clean right now. So weird, people. Okay, strength equals. I started the high carb low fat for 3 weeks now. I had a blood test 2 months ago, and my total cholesterol is down from 252 to 201. Yes, results. People keep saying cholesterol is good, like having high cholesterol is good for you. No, the research still shows that elevated cholesterol is linked to increased risk of cardiovascular disease, okay? It's not a good thing. It is building up in your system. I've seen this firsthand because I thought I was going to go into medicine and I wanted to be a PA. So I did a lot of shadowing in like the ER, and I got hooked up with this chick who worked in the heart heart department or whatever you call it of the hospital. So I saw stents put in, I saw an open heart surgery, and I'm not joking, there's these plaques, like it's this thick waxy substance, it's fat, okay, that blocks up your arteries in your heart and your blood can't move through it, and then you have, that is heart disease, and a heart attack is your blood not being able to move through your heart, okay? So you have a heart attack because it's all blocked up. And that is due to elevated cholesterol. And if you don't think cholesterol is an issue, get your ApoB tested and get your lipoprotein A tested. If they're elevated, you have heart disease, okay? And it's from your fatty diet. It's from intermittent fasting, okay? That combination is deadly. You want to stop doing that ASAP, okay? Kick the fat out of your diet so your body can start flushing it out. All right. However, my triglycerides are up 94 to 124, not too bad, but why? That is because you're moving through a little bit of insulin resistance. You probably increased the carbs in your diet, okay? So there's a little bit of de novo lipogenesis going on. And you're also probably starting to burn more fats too. So the triglyceride test is really like, they usually do it when you're fasting, and then from what I've read is that it's a reflection of either the fats that you've eaten or the carbs that you've eaten, that the liver is starting to turn into, triglyceride. But it's unsure if those tries are going like in what direction they're moving. Are they going into storage, or are they coming out for, to be used for energy generation, to be burned, right? So I wouldn't worry about it. Just keep moving in the right direction. High carb, low fat, and everything will just normalize over time. It's good to see your cholesterol came down. That's the most important thing. Okay. What are your thoughts from Jose Valverde Fit? I don't know if I pronounce it right. What are your thoughts on a balanced, clean, whole foods diet? What I recommend is a balanced, clean, whole foods diet. Fruit, sugar, starch, low fat. That's a clean diet. A lot of people would say, oh, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about eating animals and their secretions and pieces and oils, and all of this stuff is processed, okay? The cleanest diet is a low fat diet, okay? Fruit, sugar, starch. Tara says she's here to moderate. I just added you as a moderator. Managing moderator. Yes. Okay, you're a moderator, Tara. You're good to go, sweetheart. Thanks for being here. Okay. John Redcorn. I tell her to, but she doesn't agree fully. It's tough to tell my dad the same thing, even though he's on and off keto. Yeah, most people are. Like, most people don't think sugar's good for them. They even say that in, like, kids' shows. Like, too much sugar, but chicken's good. No. Sugar is 100% addictive as black tar heroin. Sugar is a nutrient. Heroin is a drug. Okay? They will literally give you an IV of dextrose in the hospital if you need it. Okay? I feel like substitute sugar is just as addictive. What are you referring to? Like sucralose or aspartame? Like, most people who think sugar's bad but still have cravings and eat and drink like the diet soda, they're typically like overweight people. So just keep that in mind. I was into artificial sweeteners and stuff when I was in college, and I thought sugar was bad, and I was all like trying to do the low carb thing, and I did get really skinny, but I also like yo-yoed a lot. And in order to like fully stay on it, I had to do like appetite suppressants, and I smoked cigarettes, you know, because nicotine's a stimulant. It suppresses the appetite. I use a lot of caffeine. Um, I would take like appetite suppressing pills, and that's the only way it would work for me. So just keep that in mind. Like other people like doing keto, it's generally, you know, they're having to do something similar. A lot of the keto men take anabolics too. Katarina Marie Edwards, what's up, girl? How do you deal with criticism from others about your diet and weight gain during the metabolic recovery process? I just, I didn't pay them any mind. Just like I don't pay the trolls any mind now. Like I have a lot of people just like, look at, she's got all these problems like vegan deterioration and all of these like people are tagging me in their stuff now. I just, you know, I have the results, okay? And if you want the results at the end of the day, you're going to do what it takes, regardless of what anybody else will say. All right, I gotta go. I got a call coming in. Bye, guys.